crew's back for commentary tracks.
Oh.
We got Justin here.
Strawberry Smiggles.
Ryan here.
Oh, wait, I should say my name.
Yeah.
Brian Newton.
Brian Newton, director.
Yeah.
Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon.
Voice of bird person.
Recovering from the flu.
Did they take Strawberry Smiggles from the other reality?
Yeah, I figured. I mean,
sure.
They go to like a
figured they might have-
Costco in
they might
another
have-
reality and just
they might have
kinda
portaled
stock
over.
up?
Hey, advertising works.
Yeah, they probably portaled over and grabbed a few boxes.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's easy.
I remember us saying like, "Oh, I'll just put Strawberry Smiggles on that dinner table."
I love that stuff. I mean, yeah, because that's what I imagine as Rick and Morty was like, "Hey, Rick, I want to try that stuff." And he's like, "All right, come here." Portal's over there.
Oh, yeah, because they saw the commercial. And
Yeah.
Morty's like, I mean, it was horrifying, but I'd love to know what it tastes like.
I still want to do an episode where they just go shopping in an alternate reality and they're just walking through a grocery store.
What if they do like a supermarket sweepstakes through like 7 realities and they can fill up their cart?
Well, consider how season 2 ends. You might just be able to do that in their reality now.
Because
yeah.
all the crazy alien imports. It's like when you go into like an Asian market and you're like, what the hell is this? Like canned produce that you've never even heard of that
Baby
looks like
feet.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
What is this one? Tiny
Human
Rick.
skins.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, yeah.
This one I
Big
remember
Trouble in Little Sanchez.
Being kind of easy, relatively easy.
I mean, it's easy in the sense that once we broke the story, it kind of had a smooth ride through.
It's Tiny Rick / marriage counseling, right?
Yeah.
I have to admit, like when you guys told me I was gonna get a couples therapy episode, I was like, oh, another one, another like Jerry Beth. But when I read this one, this is absolutely one of my favorite scripts of the entire show.
Yeah, I remember you coming down. I was recording another episode, and you kind of ran down into the booth, and you were like pitching me this couples therapy idea, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah, I kind of thought. I thought that Jerry and Beth getting a divorce would be like Kenny getting killed in South Park, like, you know, when we first conceived the show, that it would never run out of shelf life, that was a kind of joke of like, oh, well, all our parents were always about to get a divorce. But I think millennial viewers are like, I don't understand. Why don't they just recycle more? And so like so season 3 we kind of like moved that story forward.
Spoiler alert.
Trigger warning. You're a dipshit.
Yeah.
Does that trigger you?
I'm already triggered.
Yeah, I love the. I remember the original concept for this was that there was we were calling it Vasquez. It was going to be a story where Morty goes to school and Morty comes home in the beginning and he's bitching to Rick about how rough school is, like how tough it is to be a teenager in high school, and Rick's like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's real rough. And then he's like, yeah, you couldn't cut it, Rick. You couldn't handle it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I bet I couldn't. And then you cut to school the next day, and there's this new kid, and his name is Vasquez, and he just immediately, like within 2 seconds, he's the most popular kid in school, and he pants as Morty and is a dick. And then Morty goes home and starts telling Rick about this new kid, and Rick's like, "Oh, you mean this new kid?" And he reveals like Vasquez in a test tube. He's like, "Yeah, it was me. I'm fucking Vasquez, Morty. I'm Vasquez." We ultimately realized, like, I think the thing that made us all realize that was not gonna work. I don't know who pitched it, but it was like, well, then we're casting.
Wasn't me.
We're casting someone else to do the voice of Rick as Vasquez, which I didn't even realize until much later in the game that, oh yeah, it'll be really fun to be a young Rick.
Just to interject real quick, I think Xenobeth might have gone through the most revisions out of any other character I've seen on this show.
Yeah.
It's just like really hard to like nail her down because you definitely wanted like an aliens queen vibe.
Yeah, it was James McDermott, our art director, had kind of designed that, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking great. And then it kind of went through this like ebb and flow of, it would get really complicated design-wise, and then they would have to simplify it, and it kind of just kept going back and forth, like too much detail, not enough detail.
Yeah.
And I was I sort of was like, look, I was cool with the first thing you showed me.
It was
such
sort
a
of like a
perfectionist.
alien/species inspired look. Remember we kept talking about the species character. Am I allowed to talk about species, the species franchise? They gave us a list of things we're not supposed to talk about.
Well, that's okay.
I believe they're up to 4 now.
We chose the female because we figured it would be more docile. You don't get out much.
Alex Hirsch, creator of Gravity Falls, doing the voice.
Oh yeah, this is Hirsch doing a voice.
Hirsch, don't it?
He hears that all the time.
Stupid.
You do the voice of the time traveling guy in his show, and he returns the favor with
Just a normal high schooler who could probably get some.
He's got
from
range.
One of our main characters if he played it right. What's the kid's name that he plays?
Oh, Toby?
Travis? Toby?
Toby, yeah.
Toby Matthews. Toby Matthews could get some summer if he wanted to, but
With no effort.
no, he's just too cool. He's looking for the brass ring.
Promoting underage sex.
I think Toby's gay.
But were you born, Justin? Since 1983.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
50.
This always reminded me of like Rampage. Like just giant monsters just go, let them fight.
I remember having a lot of trouble with the staging of these cells because of the perspective on the bars.
Yeah.
We had a lot of you guys had a lot of complicated ideas for this scene.
Well, we wanted the joke to be that if your relationship, them working together would somehow mean that they could escape. But it's like, how do you work that?
Yeah, this was tricky. Like the sequence of events here, like
It's all pantomime.
I kept pushing for the other, whatever you call those, what are they called again? The creatures?
Mythologs?
Proxies, mythologs were like more broad and punny, like, oh, it's a giant chicken and she's henpecking her husband too much.
oh my
So that when you saw the horrifying nature of bats, it would be more of a contrast, but whatever.
Well, don't you think that would just confuse people?
No. Moving on.
All right. How come the people from Saturn work in puns that are based on Earth culture, and Beth and Jerry's relationship is the only one that is a riff on aliens? And schmoo?
Don't make me go through this again. All right. So Tiny Rick.
Tiny Rick. I love that the thing that makes him choose to stick around a little longer is a house party. He's like, I'm not missing out on that shit.
It's really just being young.
Yeah.
It's like it's a disease.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
You know what's really weird? When Alex Rubens, who was the writer on this episode, was in the record booth with me when I recorded all of Rick and Morty, and I remember kind of like adult Rick stuff. I was off, and then when I started doing Tiny Rick, I fucking had a blast.
Tiny Rick's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just like the shift in his he just was so much more excited and positive. It was just weird. I was like, oh, this is fucking crazy. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I found myself running around like, yeah, having fun with my grandkids. Tiny Rick, what the fuck?
Yeah.
My favorite part of the Tiny Rick story is the vampire story that we never see. It's and especially my favorite scene is Principal Vagina taking Rick outside of the dance and just going like,
yeah.
TR, this is gonna break my heart.
Yeah, Phil Hendry, so great.
I love Phil.
Yeah, he's like, this is gonna break my heart wide open.
Bag of steaks.
Yeah, that's so good.
So is Tiny Rick?
Oh, this is Ryan Elder, our music guy and friend, composed this song.
And I think I gave Ted most of the Tiny Rick scene, so he actually knows how to play guitar. So he actually tried to match the chords as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to get the chords right. I remember at one point, late in the game, we were in color, and it was like there was one guitar moment where it was wrong. His hand was going in the wrong direction, and it was like this crossroads of like, all right, we don't have time or money to fix this, but how much do we care? I think I let it go ultimately.
Wow. Okay, we cared just a little less.
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
That's my philosophy.
Justin, if you could go back into your teenage version of yourself and live life like he did in this episode.
Man, I would just bone all day. No, the problem is I wouldn't have gotten anywhere anyways because I was a pariah. No one wanted to do anything with me.
Yeah. Ew.
But what was your question though?
Well, would you do it now with your 36-year-old mind?
Oh, would I do it now?
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody would, right? It's that whole thing like.
But what would you do?
I'd probably, as soon as I got back there, I'd be like in the same exact position as I was. I wouldn't do like you're like, oh yeah, man,
I'm
I
so
would
much smoother.
No,
now.
Yeah, and it's also you're one step removed from the reality of like being, first person fucking in the moment.
I think it's the opposite. I think you would go back there and you would be the coolest person, but then you're like, oh, these are kids are annoying.
Yeah,
God,
I think
yeah, that's
the
true.
disconnect
Yeah,
would
you're right.
be the biggest thing because it's just like, hey, who likes Pogs
Yeah.
and Pop Tarts?
Cyberpogs.
I don't know. I think I'd probably be able to blend in pretty well.
Well, yeah, you.
Like, y'all watch Saturday Night Live last night?
Yeah. For this sequence, I love trying to have to make the Xenobeth chase scene as dramatic as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Because I definitely want to harken back to those like 80s movies, horror, sci-fi horror. Yeah, so like it's a lot of like really dark, stark colors.
This whole thing is great. Like,
Oh, and by the way, that was Jim Rash. I think he's already gone from the
Yes.
episode.
They're not therapists. Go.
yeah, that's such a great joke.
Thank you.
Yes. I love this whole hatch thing because it's fucking great. It's
I
like,
guess that's why I have memories of this being an easy episode, is because I keep hearing lines that I'm like, I think like, oh, that was like a first draft line.
yes. Yeah.
And which means that we must not have had too many re-breaks.
Yeah, I don't remember really any rebreaks after the final kind of like once we kind of nailed the structure. It went out to draft, and then that draft came back in relatively good shape.
It's good to remember. I think we get excited too early when we see connections possible between the A and B story, and I think that inevitably fucks us so bad.
Yeah.
And it's the episodes where we actually maintain a total separation of A story and B story that we can now, it's like if one needs to be rebroken, doesn't mean the other one does.
Yep.
And you just use them to advance time, and each one. We should probably remember that lesson.
Well, as Rick says at the end of this, they do follow a theme.
Yeah, no, they certainly do.
Yeah.
That was always Sony's note at the end of a Community episode. At the end of a table read, is they'd go, "Oh, I love both these stories. I wish there was a thematic connection." And I would be like, "Do you mean you want there to be a Scrubs voiceover that suggests there's a thematic connection? Because that's why you think there's one. Is when someone says there's one." Little things mean a lot to big things, but sometimes the biggest things mean the littlest things of all.
Gossip Girl, over and out.
Well, Amy was coming of age. Age was coming. Not Amy.
Hey, what's up? I'm Age. Oh, this is. I remember like lifted the fucking shit, the whole shit runner, and then
Shit runner.
yeah, like when Morty like in animatic before I shipped it to Ardell.
You tried to cut this.
Well, it wasn't like I wanted to. It was like like they were saying you can only have so many shits, blah blah blah, and then I was like, well, this sequence is gonna be like half the shits are bleeped and the other half aren't, and that was one reason, and the other was like a time thing. I was like, it was a dumb move, but as soon as you saw it wasn't in there and you were like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck was I thinking? And we
This
put
is
it
really
in.
kind of
you guys cut some other things though.
This
So.
is sort of inspired by a Richard Pryor thing. Like in the 70s, Richard Pryor had this bit about two guys getting into a fight, one guy picking a fight with the other guy, and then like a little guy picking a fight with a bigger guy, and the bigger guy doesn't want to fight the little guy because he knows he's going to beat him up. But then the big guy's like, fine, all right. Well, get your shit together. Get a lot of it. Or something like that. It was just like he tagged "get your shit together," and I thought it was so funny that the guy qualified "getting your shit together." So I did it a lot.
This that used to have a little butthole,
Yep.
cute little dog butthole, little asterisk star,
Yeah, sorry, Mark.
and they S&P made us take it out. That's right, you heard me.
We said
Rule
it
number
here.
7.
That was Almer. That was from Alex's first draft. The mythologue offering to be sodomized by his progenitor.
He's like, you're the alpha here, Jerry.
Yeah, it's such a weird like thing to do.
Now, how's this for profound?
Oh yeah, this is great.
This was a struggle to come up with this moment, to whatever you call this, return of the threshold. Is that what you call it, Dan?
Sure.
I just love when Beth realizes like, oh,
But once it was written, it didn't really need. I mean, it was a lot of like talking about what the denouement would be. But once we had it, it's like, one draft scene. Because this is what, yeah, these characters, they are motivated by primal things, but you can't jump the shark with them, really. I mean, Beth is Beth, but she's talking to Jerry's perception of Beth.
Oh, everyone's favorite dance.
I can't remember.
Is that the flu-hating rapper
Yeah.
DJ?
Yeah, DJ Intelligence.
Yeah, you gave us pretty clear direction exactly. I think we basically mimicked exactly what you did in the conference room.
Justin did.
I think no, I don't think this was me. I feel like this was Ruben's. I want to say, or maybe what? I don't remember.
No,
Was it me?
I saw you like lunching around, like, oh, I want to look like he's still in the vat, so you want us to match Rick's
Okay, yeah.
pose
That's
in the
true.
vat.
Yeah. Like just telegraphing him, like pounding on the vat walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, and how he's hanging the suspending liquid.
I just want to throw it out there. This is the this is that part you're talking
Dan's
about.
favorite.
Man in the clone body, it never bothered me. This here's
He's
another
an
man.
80-year-old man. Is that canon? Is he 80?
Well, Vagina just kind of.
Yeah, he's just like.
He's like, you're old.
Vampire, the school board is
Wait, I can't hear the dialogue. He's getting, and I can't remember the episode. He's getting busted for killing the
Yeah,
vampire.
Summer
Well, he
set
was
him
the
up.
coach. The vampire was coach for Atu.
Yeah,
he's like, you can't kill a teacher.
I mean, sure, he was
He's like, I gotta expel you.
You can't kill a teacher, but we shouldn't hire vampires, so we're even, but you gotta be
It's a
expelled.
process.
This school's equal opportunity employment.
There's a lot of bloody stakes. And why would he keep the stakes? Was he collecting them after he
Well,
would
no,
he pull them out of the...
Summer got him from the garage and then planted him in his locker. She set him up.
But I
probably-
think they had the bag before.
But there are a lot of bloody stakes. Yeah,
Why
like how
did he
many
pull
stakes?
them out
They
of
probably
the
had
vampire's
to.
hearts?
Well, they did a whole episode. They probably had to kill like 20 vampires.
Yeah, because he made other vampires.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Traditionally, vampire hunters don't pull the stakes out, take them home, go for next time.
Yeah, we're gonna need these for later. It's funny. This sequence was fucking nuts.
Yeah, thank you for this.
Yeah. I was like, have fun, man. Good
Yeah.
luck.
They kind of the Inside Out touches this area a little bit, right? Like, we know when she's perceiving her boyfriend, her dreamboat boyfriend.
Yeah, she creates like a bridge or something with him.
Yeah.
And this came first.
I still
so-
haven't seen it.
Oh, it's great.
Did this air
Oh,
first?
yeah, this aired before Inside Out for sure. But we
I mean, it
probably
certainly
would
was
have been in.
conceived for. I mean, well, it was at least in our little
Actually,
bubble.
we
Inside Out
probably
was
were
definitely
in.
conceived
We were
first.
probably in production simultaneously. Like that movie hadn't come
Oh, yeah,
out
I
yet.
mean, they had that at least the first round of boards for that 100
years
years
ago,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Back at the turn of the century.
Yeah, I didn't even put that together. I forgot that happened in Inside Out, and we did it first.
So memory marbles are either blue or yellow, depending on what feeling. But then there's the islands.
I love the little twirl.
You're not
it does.
allowed to slander any other properties. That's rule number 7.
Yeah, rule number 7.
Even if you're running against them in the Oscars.
Hey, rule number 12.
oh my
help.
God,
Yeah.
that's right.
Rule 20, don't mention the rules.
Yeah. Is it really?
I don't know.
Probably is.
I didn't read
I
it.
didn't get that far. I got to 17 and I gave up. Oh, this was this is fucking great. Elliott Smith. No. Harmon's. This was like on the table for like early on in this draft.
For the record, Morty is doing an efficient takedown.
Wait,
Yeah,
because you
it-
take kickboxing? Is that what it was?
It just
Yeah.
it does look like whatever he's doing.
Yeah,
would-
Morty
would
is look good.
subdue.
It looks like he's like from Roadhouse or something.
Yeah, really. That's not something you do with no knowledge of martial arts. I never thought about that.
Nice work,
Morty in
Bryan.
ROTC.
Yeah, that's Brian's kickboxing training.
All right, now that's
Whatever.
canon. Morty has a couple moves.
He's got that shirt. Maybe the shirt brings it out of him.
Oh yeah, it's confident
I
Morty.
love that it's still yellow. It's a little
I know that
collar
everybody.
shirt.
Well, yeah, Jessica's formal dresses
good
are
on
always purple, but
Yeah, you wouldn't recognize them. They're not wearing the same color.
I like that everybody. Yeah, they have their little Sunday best, like little.
They're like-
different tops.
They're like the Power Rangers. They have to stay
Series
color
15 of
coordinated.
the action figures. These Sunday's
Yeah.
best. Fancy outfit versions of all the characters.
An insect. Don't talk that way about her. What?
I remember this the solution here. Did this?
I mean, it was like,
later?
well, we said like, well, that would be Deus Ex Machina, but then we were like, well, our story is about a machine. So it's literally Deus Ex Machina, and it actually works because Jerry is using perception of perception of perception to turn the whole thing around.
Yeah, and summons a god to solve other problems for
When
them.
it comes to the subject of your ego, I'm Stephen fucking Hawkinson.
It's
never mind. I love you.
Do you guys know what he said in that bleep? I bet people don't know.
He said toast, right?
Yeah.
Another generation of kids goes up not knowing the F word, thanks to strategic.
Yeah.
For the record, we actually do draw Rick's penis.
Oh yeah, like when we were posting the show. Yeah. When we were posting the show, it was like there's a dong there the whole time. The last thing we did was pixelate.
Does it move around? Does it kind of sway?
Yeah, dude, they put some fucking time into that dick and balls. It was dancing. I mean, if anything, we had to like stiffen it up and give it less movement.
I take great pride. When I got this script, I was like, all right, I'm murdering all these children. I'm doing this scene myself.
I mean, this is horrible. Why does he need to go that far?
Yeah, that shot had some wiggle to it. I clearly remember.
Some follow through.
It's like Japanese
antics.
porn.
Yeah, there was a big conversation about whether or not we were gonna uncensor that for the DVD, and I was just like, I mean, maybe we could put it in its separate little spot. Like,
Why is Japanese porn like? Why does the guys wiener need to?
Man,
be
ain't
more?
nobody want to look at no wiener. That's why I think, right? The guys are like, oh,
A lot
wiener.
of women are
oh.
attracted to Rick, Justin.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean,
They want to see that wiener.
can I divert that over to me somehow? You think? I need to lose like 300 pounds
Gain
and
a
then
few
get thicker,
intelligence
fuller,
points.
grayer hair.
Yeah. Just
A
keep talking
unibrow.
like Mr. Poopy Butthole. That'll bring him.
That'll get them. That'll get those ladies. Phil Hendry, Brandon Johnson,
Me,
you, the whole team.
I'm coming up in just a second.
McDermott. Man, oh man,
We all
did
these
it.
talented people.
I love this. That's one of my favorite episodes, I think, of all the ones we've done.
Yeah,
This-
I appreciate it too.
This tag coming up, we had to write independently because we just basically pushed off all the tags.
It was also
yeah.
way longer. This is when you cut the most out of this tag.
What else was in there? Oh yeah, it was like really. Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
It went way longer.
And I think these kind of tags are fun where it just takes some throwaway thing from the episode and like, oh, let's make a meal out of that.
Yeah.
The vampires, of course, like Nosferatu or like the Master from Buffy. But if you've seen the IT Crowd, you might recognize the attendant.
What the fuck would he name himself after?
It's Richmond.
Is that
As,
based on who?
Richmond, the character, the goth character.
All right.
Very much a reference to.
Vampires pretending to be a human. They can just call themselves Alan Jefferson.
I love the look of this tag. Oh, for some reason, whenever we do anything that's sort of nighttime setting,
Yeah, night is
it
always
just looks
cooler.
so fucking good. All right, keep on slugging through these while you work.
Did you get any of that?
It's a good show.